So, Master's level analysis of Walpurga versus SonaTithew. Silver League TvP. How do you even pronounce his name? I don't even know. Anyway, I looked over the replay, and for the most part, we can pretty safely say that your early game is pretty solid. I mean, sure, you were a bit late on the first SCV, but it just happens from time to time. It's no big deal. Like, this build order, following very precisely and to the point. Although you usually do want to like start this orbital as soon as the barracks finishes, just because the extra meal gives much more income. So usually you would like start the orbital before you expand, just for the extra meal. But it's not the biggest of deals. Like, in general, this looks very solid. I mean, you're producing the SCV, you're adding the factory, you're not missing any SCV for the most part. You're not really missing any production. The gas is saturated on time, and this is just all looking really good. Like, this is started on time, and you're immediately producing SCV from here as well. So this is all really good right now. Now, what happens? Like, you're even adding engineering rate, but what happens here is not so good. Because we look at here, we see that the Oracle comes in, which you didn't know was coming, but that's not a huge deal, because you do have enough Marines to drive it off. So it wouldn't be a big problem. You might lose some SCV, but that's provided you actually pull your SCVs. But you didn't do that. Instead, it kind of just did its thing. And now the Marines come. So during that moment, that was 18 SCV kills. Look at the unit difference. 15 SCVs to 40. That's a massive difference right there from this one Oracle. And you could have definitely cut the damage by at least half if you had simply reacted and pulled your SCVs and then sent your Marines. So that's unfortunate, and there's a reason why that happened. It's because if we look at your camera angle, we can actually see that your camera's at this point here, but the SCV is going to come up on top, and since that gets attacking your SCV in view of your camera, you don't get the SCV under attack alert. But at the same time, you could have probably heard all these SCVs exploding. Like, it's a pretty distinctive sound, right? So like if you hear something firing, something exploding, you might want to just take a quick look and make sure it's not your entire mineral line dying, in which case you could probably pull the SCVs. And even here, even though you saw it, you send your Marines but you don't pull the SCVs. You could have probably saved a few more SCVs from dying if you pulled it and then sent your Marines. So this is looking pretty bad, because look at the worker difference. But at the same time, this is Silver League, so your next response is to build turrets, which is better late than never. But at the same time, this is a bad placement for the turret. You can secure an entire mineral line just by placing one turret at the center, like here. It will disrupt some mining, but the trade-off is worth it. Instead of building one turret here, and then two more turrets here and here, all you need is one turret here, and the entire mineral line is secure. He might be able to pick some off, someone off gas, here and here, but then you can always just drive them off with your Marines or pull the workers into the mineral line when it comes, stuff like that. But you definitely don't need four turrets. And the thing is, while you're building 4 turrets, you completely forgot about this space here. You could have totally been building one turret here as well, which would really have been helpful because this mineral line is completely exposed right now. And as we see here, this does a few more damage. It could have been prevented if instead of building 4 turrets here, you like saved one of them and maybe put it in this mineral line here instead. So yeah, and this does a few more unnecessary damage, totaling up to 26 worker kills. So this definitely puts you in a bad spot, but at the same time, since this is Silver League, we have to take a look at what he's doing too, and look at how much the mineral he's banking. Look at how much units he has. He has 3 stalkers. 3 stalkers during all this time of this harass, and that's why I say that macro is so much more important at the that's why everyone says macro is so much more important at this level, because even though he did so much damage with this one Oracle, he isn't actually making anything back at home. And for that reason, your decision to attack is actually correct at this level, because look, you actually have more army supply than him, even though he did so much more worker damage. And also, it's really good that you're continuing to make workers despite that, because that's what will allow you to come back into the game. You do pause a bit because you're like managing to move out, but if you continue to make workers and continue to drop mule, that will really like help you recover from damage like this. Because one of the biggest thing when being under attack is to continue to make workers and continue to make production when necessary. So look at this here. He has what? 11 stalkers, and you have 18 marines, and 3 medevac. And actually, unless he micros the stalker perfectly, and he doesn't even have blink, you can actually win this fight. And look at that. Your backup, your reinforcement arrives. He has 3 phoenixes, his stalker's almost dead, and you're continuing to make workers back at home. So, I mean, I know you decide to GG here, but I think there was a very real possibility that you could have actually killed his army, and then did damage behind this, and you might have actually been able to come back into the game. And that's all because during his harassment, he did not make any units at all. He was not macroing. He has such a huge bank. So I actually am not sure how this would have ended if you stayed in. I think there was definitely a chance that you might have been able to come back into the game if you had actually decided to stay in, and as opposed to cheesing out right here. But with that said, your biggest mistake is really just not pulling the SCVs. And like, your macro is all really good considering you're being under pressure and all that. Your macro was a lot better than him, even though he was wasting all his APM doing the harass, and you were defending from the harass, but you were still making your workers and units, and that's what's most important. And that's why we see at the end there, you actually had more army supply. And the only thing that you could have done better is to just like pay more attention to possible harassment coming in. Like, if you like right here, you can actually hear the Oracle coming in and start your SCVs exploding and it's shooting. And then once you see it coming, pull your SCVs and then send your Marines. And then of course, you could have saved a lot of minerals if you made only 1 turret here and 1 turret here, as opposed to like 4 turrets here and then 2 later here. So that could have probably boosted it, like gave you a few more units. and SCV that you could have made. So those are pretty much the only two major things about this game. Another thing is you did scout, I see. Although your scouting was kind of inconclusive. Like, I mean, you saw he expanded and you know he's here now, but you should at least go into his base just to see what his follow-up is. For example, you could have stayed in his base. Like, you could have just parked your SCV here, or just put it on patrol and just parked into his base all the way until like he still doesn't have a single unit. So you could have actually seen his Stargate. If you had just done the thing, like we would just put the SCV here and just park it here, or just do the thing where you patrol around his base, like what he's doing right here. Like the thing he's doing. Like if you had your SCV doing that, then you could have totally seen his Stargate follow up, and you would have been prepared with a turret to defend against it. Or it's just like a few Marines, like here, to prepare, like to snipe it as soon as it comes in. So those are probably three things that you can change. Other than that, your macro is actually really good right now, and it was definitely way better than his. And in fact, I would even like I said, I would even say that there was definitely a chance he could have come back into the game instead of GGing, simply because of how bad his macro is. So, and that's about it for this game. GLHF and GG.